So a very wise friend of mine once told me, don't copy anybody unless they have the results that you want. And this is the logic that I'm applying to the crypto world. I look at the best traders, people who have turned $3,000 into $3 million. And the biggest influencers, people who have pull leverage network in the market and are printing literally tens of millions of dollars, even when the market's not rallying. And I try to copy trade them because I would be an idiot to try and recreate the results for myself. So in this video, I want to break down the heuristic that they're using. I spend a lot of time studying these people. I'm going to show you in 3 graphs exactly what their mindset is and exactly how to play the market, both in big cap, mid cap, and small cap cryptos, so we can also get the same incredible results that they are getting. And we can avoid being this guy. Have a look at this Reddit post posted 6 days ago when the market dipped, the final shakeout as people are calling it. 22-year-old male. I'm embarrassed and scared. I lost $31,500. How can I recover? I realized all my gains and spaghetti hands this morning. By gains, he means losses. He realized them, he means he sold his crypto. After losing 3 main points of key resistance, I just assume hell and only that. Losing 30K is insane. I honestly have been holding really strong for a long time, but seeing this amount of support loss was just too much for me. And I decided to pull the trigger this morning after it hit 50K. Talk about Bitcoin plunging down to 48K, it hit at the low. I mostly invested in medium cap altcoin, which are tokens anywhere from a 15 mil to $1 billion market cap, all of which had dropped at least 50%. A few of my meme coins were down 80%, but that was a smaller percent of my portfolio. I also want to say that I do have what is left of my portfolio, which is not much, ready to buy back if I see lower prices. I'm feeling really horrible as a trader, but I didn't want to wait for years to see my money again. Overall, I'm embarrassed and scared about losing this much and being so confident for so long only to lose this badly. This seems like the black swan event to the end of the whole thing with Japan. Hoping someone could put my brain on the right track as I'm a bit unsettled and disillusioned right now. How do I come back from this? And the top comment, you bought high and you sold low. My man. Now, if you rode out this dip recently and didn't sell, congratulations to you. But I'm sure you understood what was going through this guy's mind. Is this really going to be a massive bull market, the super cycle where we're all going to print millions of dollars? Or are we the idiots? Are we the ones who are going to get cashed out on and all of our investments are going to go to zero? Well, this first graph is quite interesting for you. This is from the Scalping Pro on Twitter. He says, the Bitcoin simple strategy. Buy Bitcoins 500 days before the halving. If you don't know what the halving is, it's basically the amount of Bitcoin that is given to miners as a reward for mining Bitcoin blocks are halved, and therefore the supply coming into the market is halved. And normally, as you can see on this graph, the price skyrockets. Now, it doesn't skyrocket immediately because the Bitcoin halving was probably 120 days ago, or maybe even more than that now, and we haven't really skyrocketed. Step 2 is hold and don't get shaken out, just like the shakeout that we saw that guy sell on Reddit, half of his life savings. He failed step 2. And then step 3 is sell 500 days after the halving and repeat. So if we have a look at this graph, they've got 3 examples of Bitcoin halving events here in the yellow line. And you can see if you had bought 500 days before the halving happened, you buy even before the halving rumors coming up. That's a year and a half before. People aren't even like, oh, there's an upcoming halving, and you get the halving pump. You buy here, and then you wait to 500 days after. You can see it's almost at the peak top of the 2017 market, which the price is about $17,000, $19,000 back then. Okay, cool. Then you wait another 4 years because the halving is roughly every 4 years, which is an important thing to remember because I'm going to show you another graph that is going to be quite eye-opening in terms of the patterns that these markets are making. And remember, I'm not a technical analysis guy, but I'm seeing a lot of historically excellent results in these graphs for the people who are actually putting them out there, which is why I'm showing you, which is why I look at them for myself. 500 days before the second last halving, this is 2021, you would have bought down here at about $3,400 a Bitcoin. You can see how much Bitcoin actually pulled back from the top of that $17,000 all the way back to that $3,000 level. It then had a nice run up into COVID and then pulled back a bit and then ran up again. 500 days after the halving, you would have been able to sell it at about $60,000 or almost exactly where it is now. And therefore you would have avoided this nice sharp pullback all the way down to about $13,000 where you could have bought again 500 days before the halving. And now you can see we're about 120 days after this latest halving. We've got another 300 and something days until what is predicted to be close to the top of the cycle. But you can see in the 500 days after, although there are some strong pullbacks as we've witnessed recently, although in the perspective of this graph, it doesn't look crazy. Now, this graph here is one that I created to help illustrate the point. So this is the history of Bitcoin. You can see in the white, these are the past 3 halving results relative to the price today, which is about $50,000 here. So you can see for this one, for example, was the early 2013 halving, which you could see was pretty much immediately up and to the right. And it would have reached about $1.5 million per Bitcoin about 400 days after that halving. The next 2017 halving wasn't as sharp and took a little bit to actually start running as our current halving is doing. But you can see about 400 days after, it would have been worth about 300,000 a Bitcoin. And then the last halving would be worth about $250,000 to $300,000 a Bitcoin. This is our halving now in this red line that we have graphed out. You can see once it gets to 200 and 400 or 600 days past the halving, on average, this thing absolutely runs. Now, that was a lens that I personally was looking at it through, being like, oh, we're gonna go up, because historically, after every halving, Bitcoin price has absolutely flown. And I'll get to the altcoins in a second, because that also means the liquidity comes in and the altcoins fly. But talking about liquidity, there's a guy called Raoul Pal, and House of Crypto is a big follower of Raoul Pal, and they have a thesis, is that the halving actually doesn't matter as much as you think. Even though the supply of Bitcoin coming onto the market is half, so it has to have some effect on the price of Bitcoin. They say that all markets, including real estate, commodities, stocks, bonds, crypto, are all determined by this one graph here, which is the global liquidity cycle. This is by cross-border capital, and it goes back all the way to the 1960s. And the theory here, and I'm gonna explain this in really simple terms, is that the world goes through high liquidity and low liquidity period. And these periods, if you can line them up here with the graph below, actually seem to trend in about 4 to 5 year cycles. Just happens to be the same timing as the Bitcoin halving. But their thesis is that this graph is what makes Bitcoin and all the other assets absolutely skyrocket. And you can see right now here in 2024, we are about to start the phase, which is the euphoria, which is the fun, which is the billions, if not probably trillions of dollars coming into the market for us to collect our nice share of the pie and go home happy. And how this cycle actually plays out in the real world is increasing interest rates will tighten the liquidity because less people are borrowing money. Remember, money's not actually real, it's fractional reserve banking, and they're not actually needing to create the cash when they make more loans. They're just applying more loans to the collateral that they're already holding, meaning there's more money circulating out there, even though it's not backed by anything. And secondly, obviously the Fed printing money, which they are starting the money printers right now because of that Japanese scare. And so the thesis here, and it has proven to be correct over all 3 of these previous cycles, is that we are heading into the super cycle. And what's exciting about the super cycle is not that Bitcoin is going to be absolutely flying, although that is awesome. That is the responsible way to do crypto over the long term. Buy Bitcoin, hold, don't watch any of these videos, don't go crazy. Don't try and turn $1,000 into $1 million. Just put it in Bitcoin, have it increase by 30-40% a year, like Michael Saylor says, and go and create a business on the side where you're just channeling money back into that. But for the degenerates, for the people who want to turn 10,000 into 10 mil or something along those lines, this is the crypto whip. And this thesis comes from Alex Becker, one of the other great traders and influencers out there, where the bigger the market cap, say Bitcoin has $1 trillion, well, roughly $1 trillion market cap down here, the harder it is to move that token, the less volatile it is. If we come back to this guy, the embarrassed 22-year-old male who lost 32 grand, you can see that his meme coins were down 80%, his medium cap alts were down 50%, but Bitcoin really only dipped 25%. So you can see that they are less volatile the bigger the market caps. And Bitcoin and Ethereum and Binance and XRP, they're sort of the music to this. And everything else follows, just like a whip. The fastest moving point is the tail at the end, which does mean that's where you're going to see the 100x results and the crazy even 1000x results that these insane people are getting. But if the market is not going up, it's a very risky play to make because they are going to be crashing 80, 90, 99% and losing all your money. And so as the liquidity cycle warms up, what happens is it flows from the handle of the whip, the higher cap, layer 1, top tier, blue chip cryptos into the mid tier ranges, and then slowly down into the degenerate ranges before the liquidity cycle peaks and everything just starts plummeting on the other side. Go get a 20x, go get a 30x on some meme coin, and then roll it back into Bitcoin where you can hold it more sustainably without losing a bunch of your value. So let's go through 3 tokens together. An example from the top end, middle end, and low end, just so we're making this point as clear as possible. This is Solana. This is a massive crypto. This is the 3rd biggest crypto in the world. It's got an 83 billion, almost $84 billion market cap. And it's been around for a while and it's performing really well in this cycle. It was down at about $6 to $8 and now it's at $143, peaked up at $200. This is a high market cap crypto. Now, what are people predicting Solana's going to go to in the super cycle? Well, it varies, but between $300 and $1,000, which is about a 3x to a 7x return on your money. But as we go down into the smaller market caps, you can see this is BitTensor. This is a deep in project in the AI space, helping to decentralize GPU networks. And you can see they have a $6 billion current market cap of fully diluted there. You've got a $2 billion market cap that's currently circulating. And if we go to the 1 week chart on this, you can see it's up 50%. You know, Solana's not up 50% because it's less volatile. This dipped harder than Solana, but then it raised back on the bounce way harder as well. It is the mid cap tier level. Anywhere between sort of the 100 million to a few $billion is considered the mid cap. There's no real strict guidelines on this. And then you have something like OpenGPU. This is a token that I do personally hold because it is similar to Bitenza Tau, the one I just showed you, but it's only got a $15 million market cap. And they're in the deep in AI rendering space as well. You can see in this run up here, we were actually talking about GPU at about 25 cents inside of our inner circle in the challenge where we're looking for the 100x gems and we're transparently trading them for you. We found it down here at probably mid to high 20 cents level, and you can see it absolutely skyrocketed and did about a 7 or 8x in the period of a couple of weeks. You're not going to be able to see these sorts of returns with the higher market cap crypto. So make sure you're saving this crypto whip and you can understand how this works. The last thing that I really want to say, and it's really important, I learned this from Crypto God John. And out of everyone that we're tracking in the crypto world, he has the most impressive results. He's called the biggest returns and he's called them the most frequently as well. He's a very impressive guy in the crypto world. And he taught me patience. And it's not patience in the boring, oh, just buy Bitcoin and hold, wait for 10 years. It's patience in, if you're thinking you found these gems, whether they be meme coins or something like OGPU, where you're like, oh, this is unrecognized, this is going to be really big. We just need the liquidity cycle to take off. We need Bitcoin to reach a new all-time high, have all the liquidity flood down into these lower market caps, and this thing is going to 10 to 20x. You're probably right. But where I've lost a decent amount of potential upside is I haven't been patient. This is Casper. Again, we found this in our inner circle. So we found it all the way back here in November of 2022. And we were like, holy crap, this thing's narrative is so strong. It's been referenced by the Ethereum white paper. The researchers behind it were legit. It was a fair launch. It's a proof of work protocol, which I'm a big fan of. Way more pulled to proof of work than proof of stake. And also it's a block DAG, which means it's horizontally scalable. So it's actually fast. It solves the blockchain trilemma. This thing is magical. So we bought some and have a look how long it took. It looks obvious in hindsight when you look at a graph like this, but from November 2022, we really had to wait until March, 4 whole months until it really started moving. And then when it starts moving like that, it's already at a 5 or a 10x. And you're like, that's the pump we're looking for. We've 10x'd our money. That's it. And then you may sell some of your tokens. But in reality, if you're more patient, you'll see it creep up into the 4 to 5 cent range, which again, it's very validating. You're like, okay, we did it. This is an amazing return on investment. And then you see it plunge, and it plunged and basically stayed about that 5 cent range all the way through until here, which is November 2023, a full year, 12 months, which if that's not sounding like a lot to you, I can understand in hindsight it's not. But imagine buying a token now knowing that it's a really awesome token and then having to wait a whole 12 months in the future until it really takes off. You're like, I was even earlier than I thought. Most people are looking, refreshing it every single day, let alone every single month. To wait a year, it is a real test. But Crypto God John says patience, and what happened absolutely skyrocketed. And my thesis, if this is the super cycle that is coming, a $5 billion market cap is still going to be low. When you think Axie Infinity had a $44 billion market cap in the last bull market, this thing probably still has a long way to run. And these high graphs, these high peaks on this chart right here are going to be looking like these ones down there. Now, inside our inner circle, if you are in there or if you're not in there yet, we have launched our Wallet Tracker 2.0 because we are tracking the big brains, the best influencers, the people with the most amazing results in the world who called 100x crypto returns so that we know when they are buying into new projects. So you're going to get buy alerts. This is Alex Becker's buy alerts. We have social profiles of the best traders and the biggest influencers. People like Ilio Trades, House of Crypto. We've got Elon Musk and Tesla's wallet. We've got the Tate brothers, Miles Deutscher, all the big brains who are out there getting really good results. We're out there scoping down their wallets so that we know when they're buying into new projects and we don't have to wait for them to post on something like Twitter or YouTube to tell you about it, and only be getting in when the mainstream gets in. So if you want something like that, as well as portfolio insights, so we can break down for you what these influencers are currently holding, even if they haven't bought them yet. They're likely playing the patient game like I'm playing, and where they may have to wait a year, but you're not going to get an alert because they're already holding these in their wallets. We have their wallets. It's not what they say they hold, it's what they actually hold. Becker has a list on Twitter where he's like, these are my holdings. We know that he's holding 2 specific tokens that aren't actually in the list on Twitter. And then social alerts as well. It's very often where like Crypto God John and Alex Becker will talk on Twitter in the replies and it'll be hidden and only 3,000 people will see it and they'll be talking about a new project. These are going to be pushed inside of the Wallet Tracker 2.0. You can custom set up whoever you want to follow and whoever you want to get alerts from so that you are ahead of the mainstream. If it sounds good to you, check out the link in the description below to join our inner circle now.